Welcome back. We may be going way off script today, maybe like way off Earth. Professor Avi Loeb is up at Harvard. He's a little controversial. New York Post has a lot of fun with him, but I think he likes the paper because he wrote a couple of essays for them. He is now the government's point person on UAPs, aliens, unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs. I'm glad to have him on because I read about them all the time. Professor Loeb, thanks for joining me. You're you're not that far from campus, right? You're joining me from near Lexington?
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
All right. Are you controversial?
I don't think so. I'm just following what sounds like common sense in the context of the scientific method, looking for evidence and trying to figure it out. I'm being attacked by people that do not need evidence. These are either believers who already know the answer or skeptics who say it's not worth collecting the evidence because it boils down to nothing.
Yep.
Now, both of them are making a big mistake. They're anti-science. The way science makes progress is by attending to anomalies. These are things that do not quite line up with what we expect.
You know, I've heard the famous saying, given that we only know a thimbleful of what there is to know about the universe, anything is possible, including the biblical narrative. I guess if we want to have open minds, maybe it happened exactly as the Bible says, or maybe it's completely different. What's your view of that?
Well, you know, the funding of science is dedicated to things that we know that we don't know. These are the known unknowns. But the biggest breakthroughs and discoveries come from unknown unknowns. These are things that we don't even realize that we don't know. And examples, you know, famous examples are, of course, the nature of space-time that was revised by Albert Einstein, and quantum mechanics that still is not fully understood. We don't fully understand the nature of physical reality. So we should be humble. That's the fundamental point. We should be sufficiently humble to be willing to learn rather than arrogant with our expertise, which is often found in academia. You know, the experts are pretend to know much more than they actually know.
Well, why do you suppose the New York Post has a lot of fun with you sometimes? And I think you have a good sense of humor because you wrote an essay for them. So, I mean, and other papers too. When we booked you today, they said, oh, we're having Professor Loeb. I said, oh, he's the alien guy up at Harvard. I said, good, book him. There's a lot of things I want to talk to him about. What do you think of your kind of a little celebrity status with regard to the aliens and the tabloids and everything?
Well, that's just a byproduct of the fact that, you know, we know that 100 billion stars exist in the Milky Way galaxy, and a substantial fraction of them, at least 10%, have a planet the size of the Earth, roughly at the same separation from the star. So that, again, it's a common sense to say we are not at the top of the food chain, cosmologically speaking. And most of the stars formed billions of years before the sun did. Yep. So they had a head start. And if we were to look around, we might find our future, technological future, visiting us. And so let's just look. That's all I'm saying. And for some reason, this subject appears to be controversial within academia. I'm not surprised because at least I'm treated better than you know, other. Giordano Bruno was burnt on a stake when he said other stars are like the sun, they have planets and maybe life on them. He was burned up. And then of course Galileo was put in house arrest. The Vatican admitted he was. We have this tendency of regarding something similar to us or better than us, regarding the idea that we are not at the center of the universe, to be controversial. Why is that controversial? It should be the starting point that there is nothing special about us. And if you arrange for similar conditions on other planets, things like us may have emerged billions of years ago. So let's just check around if there are any visitation, any unusual objects visiting us that may be of artifacts manufactured by other civilizations.
I cover politics, so I think you're onto something. I think the aliens have been here for a while. We have a lot of them up at the State House over here. Maybe you too in Massachusetts.
Well, I would argue that they can provide better role models than our politicians, because when I read the news every day, it's clear to me that you know, that there is room for improvement.
Yeah. Let me point blank. Let's kind of reset here. Do you believe aliens exist? And follow up, have they been here and are they here? Go ahead.
I'm absolutely confident that they exist. They existed for billions of years before us.
Okay.
The question of whether they visited should be answered by looking for the evidence. And we've never done that until recently. We've been looking for radio signals from far away, but that's like waiting for a phone call. You may have residents on your street and they don't call you. I mean, you need to check your backyard for any, tennis ball thrown by a neighbor, any package in your mailbox. This is the approach I'm advocating for.
Right. Now, when you say that, I guess some say, oh, if they disclose this, if they show absolutely proof positive, first of all, even if you came out with this, half the world is not going to believe you. If somebody
It's
said,
not a matter of belief. You see, if we have a high-resolution image of an object that is not human-made and it's technological, everyone would agree, I mean, except some lunatics, that we are being visited. If we have materials that are not, that have a composition that is outside of this world, that it will be obvious. So we need to get this evidence. Now, the problem is within the mainstream of science right now, the scientists are not willing to invest resources in searching for the evidence. And of course, there will be no evidence if you don't search for it. So it's a circular argument to say we don't have evidence, therefore why should we invest in that? Well, that's true also of microbes. Why are we willing to invest $10 billion in the next 2 decades to search for microbes? When I went on dates early on before I met my wife, I was aiming high. I was looking for a dating partner that is more intelligent than I am. Whereas my colleagues are aiming low. They're looking for the most mediocre dating partner, microbes. That's all they want to find.
While you were speaking, we were showing the Tic Tac, the famous Tic Tac video.
Right.
Just getting back to this notion that if disclosure came, if you came out and said, here's the picture, here's the proof, it's not of Earth, it exists, that was going to somehow throw the religious narrative up in the sky. I don't think so, because I think it's very easy to say God created them too.
Yeah.
You created them.
Suppose you realize that your father or mother had more children, than you. Like you have siblings that you were not aware of.
Yep.
Does that change anything? No, I mean, it could be a part of reality now. So thinking that God is a parent that can attend to only one child is a very narrow-minded view.
By the way, with 23andMe, people are finding that out now, that they have brothers and sisters, half of them. Here's a little troubling part, though. Everything we're seeing, particularly these grainy old black and white videos of the aliens they supposedly got in Nevada, they all look like the movies. Humanoid, hands, eyes, even the spaceships. There was one last week. It looks like a Star Wars. It's too cute. I don't think it would look like that.
This is because the imagination of Hollywood scriptwriters is quite limited. And I argue that about Steven Spielberg. I think reality could be far more interesting and it would look very different than the Hollywood scriptwriters are imagining. And that's why Steven Spielberg asked me a decade ago when I met him to let him know if we find anything, because he anticipates that his imagination is limited. He's trying to provide red meat to the audience so that more people will go and see his movie. That's his motivation. He uses artistic freedom. As a scientist, I'm not allowed to do that. I have to attend to the evidence. Now, speaking about evidence, like the Tic Tac and everything, there are 3 possible interpretations. One is a natural phenomena. You can imagine, ball lightning, which was observed for, centuries. These are basketball-size glowing orbs, that were seen, ended up being an atmospheric event after more data was collected recently over the past decade. There are obviously, other, there are meteors, there are other natural origins that you can think of, birds and so forth, that may appear in images, and you would think that it's a faraway object that is moving really fast. Then you have human-made things, and on that I should say, like the Tic Tac, you have to exclude the possibility that it's laser spots, because people say some objects are moving, at a very high speed, like, I don't know, tens of miles per second. And obviously you can do that with a laser spot. It's not a physical object. It can move very fast. We know about, cats that are chasing laser spots, thinking that it's a real object, and they have a hard time. So that's one possible human-made artifact that you can think of. Then you can have drones, balloons, airplanes, satellites. You have to exclude these possibilities. And to exclude them, you have to measure their actual velocity, not the speed by which they move across the sky, because they can be very close to you and you would think they move really fast. And so in the Galileo project that I'm leading at Harvard, we developed a method that I wrote about actually this morning of triangulation, where we have multiple units looking at the same object from different directions. That allows us to figure out the distance. We just did that and realized an object that looked as if it's moving fast is actually an airplane. So that's a very important thing that is lacking from the data released so far publicly by the US government. All the images, videos do not have distances attached to the objects we're seeing. And finally, of course, it's possible that we would see technologies that are beyond this Earth, that were manufactured by non-human origin. And only after we excluded a natural or a human-made origin, we should look into that. Now, why is this important? Because if it's human-made, if we're looking at objects that are human-made and are not known to the US government, it could be a national security threat over strategic assets. Maybe the Chinese, in addition to using the balloon that was shut down in 2023, they're using numerous drones to spy on the US. That's quite possible and realistic. So we have to figure it out. If the Pentagon and the intelligence agencies have difficulties, here I am as a scientist to help them fulfill their mission. And the way to do that is by either analyzing past data, or if it's not good enough, collecting better data in the future.
Listen, we got a Harvard lecture here. We pay nothing, which is very good, but what they charge up there. Professor Avi Loeb, Donald Trump put you in charge of UAP. I guess if disclosure is going to come, it's going to come from you. Are you planning any announcement next week? Anything I should know about? Maybe bring you back for another interview. And I only have 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Only if I will know something, I will be glad to discuss it and share it with the public. I think the public deserves to know what these unusual objects are.
Thank you for joining us. You're an interesting man. I read about you, and I think I'm going to continue to read about you. Professor Avi Loeb from Harvard joining us today on aliens and unexplained phenomena. Thank you, Professor.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.